Former President Donald Trump is seething after Vice President Kamala Harris called for a policy to eliminate taxes on tips paid to service and hospitality workers.
And it is my promise to everyone here, when I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America. Including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
So now, this was at a Las Vegas rally on Saturday. Now, Trump had previously came out with a similar policy position, and he responded on Truth Social. You're going to love this, right?
Truth Central.
This was a Trump idea. She has no ideas. She can only steal from me. Kamala has no imagination whatsoever, as shown by the fact that she played copycat with no taxes on tips. Oh my God, she stole my policy that was halfway kind of okay, but not really. Here's the thing. You actually stole that idea from Ron Paul. In fact, in January 2012, there was an op-ed for the Las Vegas Sun. Ron Paul called it an outrage that wait staff and other service workers had to pay taxes on tips. And that in itself is misleading. In 2007, he also introduced legislation in Congress to exempt tips from federal income and payroll tax. Now, payroll taxes, of course, fund Social Security and Medicare, so that's like the real reason that Republicans actually want to target tips, and so the taxation of tips. But anyway, now, here's the other thing. Ron Paul didn't even really come up with that idea. Congressional records show that at least one other Republican lawmaker called for no taxes on tips. That's Representative Phil Crane, a Republican of Illinois who pushed the proposal all the way back in 1982. So, yeah, Donald Trump actually. So you got Kamala Harris taking from Trump, Trump taking from Ron Paul taking it from Phil Crane. Now, here's the thing. Politicians will take ideas from each other all the time. And at the end of the day, if it's a good idea, it doesn't really matter who came up with it in the first place, right? If people rally around it, they should, if it's a good idea. Now, that said, is no taxes on tips a good idea? Not in my opinion, no. And one of the reasons is mainly that it really wouldn't help the people who need it the most. The sub-minimum wage workers. According to a report from the group One Fair Wage, OFW, ending taxes on tips would not help many of the people earning sub-minimum wage because many of those workers simply don't earn enough money to pay income taxes in the first place. Now, you could negate that, of course, by actually raising the sub-minimum wage. Now, Saru Jayaraman, president of OFW, on Sunday told Common Dreams, quote, "It's encouraging to see the Harris-Walz campaign focusing on the economy and the needs of tipped workers. But the fact is that two-thirds of tipped workers don't earn enough to pay the income tax, and that's because of the racist, sexist sub-minimum wage that really should be the focus of the Harris and vice presidential candidate to Governor Tim Walz's ire." Now, I agree with that. But why is it racist and sexist? Because usually the people that end up making the sub-minimum wage are racial minorities and women. So those are the ones that you see mostly as wait staff that are getting these sub-minimum wages. So now, the report says that unlike exempting tip workers from taxes, providing these workers with a full livable minimum wage with tips on top would significantly improve their economic stability and workplace safety. And then, of course, you could exempt them from taxes or to a certain point, or you could just not worry about that because they would be making a full minimum wage, therefore they wouldn't need anything else. But anyway, that said, she did say that in the speech that she would increase the minimum wage, but nothing about the sub-minimum wage. And let's be fair about that, right? The reason, though, I think that she's on board with this policy, other than maybe she's trolling Trump by taking his idea and just running with it, because that would be funny, but not great from a policy standpoint. But no, I think it's actually mostly because it's supported by the Culinary Union in Nevada. which is also called, by the way, for a higher minimum wage. David Dayen, executive director of the American Prospect, noted that the culinary union supports the elimination of the sub-minimum wage for temp workers. Nevada actually did that at the state level last year. So now they would be in favor of hopefully pushing Kamala Harris, or I should say, hopefully they push Kamala Harris to be in favor of eliminating the tipped minimum wage, the sub-minimum wage, nationwide. That would be great. So now if she does, awesome. Now that said, she would need Congress in order to make this change. Trump would need Congress in order to make this change. And so I don't know, if that would happen. But that said, there is a major difference between her and Trump's plan. So the idea of taxing tips would, according to Dayen, invite the gaming of the system where real estate and stockbrokers, lawyers, and even hedge fund managers would recharacterize their income as tips and then not have to be able to pay taxes on it. Now, a Harris aide who spoke to the American Prospect said, well, don't worry, we'll put income limits and strict requirements in there, therefore making it a bit more complex and more paperwork in order to prevent the gaming. It would just be a lot simpler to just get rid of the sub-minimum wage and make sure that tip workers actually make a living wage instead of having to rely on tips. But that's at the end of the day, they're just better ideas to help workers. But hey, she's trying. Now, the good thing about the Harris campaign and why I remain optimistic about it is that her team appears to be listening. We saw that there was a rally after Detroit where she addressed pro-Palestinian protesters in a much, much better way than she had before, and said, we are going to push for a ceasefire, and we're going to do what we can to help. And look, there are reasons, of course, that she can't really do anything right now. I mean, she's the vice president, and she doesn't exactly have the power to be able to do an arms embargo or anything like that. Not that she said that she's willing to do so yet. And so, again, cautious optimism, and you got to push her, right? If we can get her to address the sub-minimum wage by, trying to push the issue and being like, hey, what about the sub-minimum wage workers? Wouldn't that be a better idea? Then I think that would be a much better, bigger win for the people who need it most. And so, but again, the good thing is that it appears that she seems to be listening on these issues and are open to these things. And so hopefully with Walz on her campaign as well, because he's really, really good on workers' issues. He's, again, doing some very normie social democrat stuff, non-corporate Democrat stuff that he did in Minnesota, which was fantastic. And hopefully he will nudge her in that right direction of getting rid of that sub-minimum wage and bringing all those workers up to a real living wage. That's what I want to see happen in this campaign. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.